going on, everybody? Welcome to the Vikings Now by Chat Sports. My name is Patrick Siepman, and coming up on today's show, I wanted to walk through with you guys 10 free agent targets that I think are possible for the Minnesota Vikings following the 2024 NFL Draft, as there are still some definite position of needs on this football team. So we'll be diving into those 10 names here in a second. But if you guys want the Vikings to be aggressive here and make a splash move, drop a like on today's video, as I actually do think there is a chance that the Vikings do pull in one more big free agent signing before, obviously, mini camp gets started here in the next week. But let's kick it off with this. So the Vikings' current cap space following the NFL draft is set at $16.6 million. So there is still an availability and a way that the Vikings could use this and land a big-time free agent. Would it be a wide receiver, cornerback, defensive lineman, offensive guard? We'll obviously have to wait and find out. But let's dive into the 10 names here. And we're going to start off with Odell Beckham Jr., who played with the Baltimore Ravens last season. And obviously the Vikings, I don't want to say they have a dire need at the wide receiver 3 spot, but there is definitely a need for an upgrade in talent over guys like Jalen Nailor and Brandon Powell. But taking a look at his numbers over the past couple of seasons, he was really good in that 2019 or 2020 year, or 2021 year, when he went from the Browns to the Rams, and he helped the Rams, win a Super Bowl that season. He went over 150 yards in the NFC title game, and he was still really, really effective. And obviously, playing in that same, system that Kevin O'Connell uses with Justin Jefferson, very similar to how Sean McVay used that system with Cooper Kupp, I think Odell would already have some familiarity there with the offense. And listen, he would just be a deadly third option. Like, could you imagine, like, just the route running ability between the three of Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Odell Beckham Jr.? The separation would be crazy. So I'd be all in on OBJ, but it'd have to be a very team-friendly deal. Like, I'm talking 1 year, $3 million, in that ballpark. But OBJ, I'd be in. And now a guy that I do think could be coming back to the Minnesota Vikings, Dalton Risner, offensive guard for the Vikes last season, and he was pretty good. I thought he was pretty consistent. Started off the year way better than he, finished it, but I fully expect Risner to re-sign. And, I think the Vikings not addressing the interior of the offensive line during the NFL draft was maybe an indicator that, it's not a handshake deal they have in place with Dalton Risner, but maybe they've already talked to him on coming back, hence why the Vikings went a swing tackle in Walter Rouse instead of going an offensive guard like Christian Mahogany, who I was a big fan of. But I do fully expect Dalton Risner to re-sign. Now, let's just say the Vikings want to add even more juice to the edge department. This is a guy who is familiar with Brian Flores, Emmanuel Ogbah, and he could be an interesting choice. Overall, PFF stats aren't going to blow you away over the past 2 seasons, but hey, in 2021, he was still pretty damn solid. An overall grade of 77. Really solid pass rush grade as well at 71.4. And maybe this is just another guy, because I really do believe this. You can never have too many edge rushers in the NFL. Like, the Vikings right now with Grenard, Van Ginkel, and Dallas Turner, like just adding a 4th option in there like Ogbah, I think could be deadly for this defense. But in terms of a more important position to need, in my opinion, the cornerback room with Stephon Gilmore coming in here at number 7. And if we're taking a look at this room right now, Byron Murphy I like. Mekhi Blackman I like. I like Shaq Griffin. There's no guy I truly, truly love here. So, Stephon Gilmore, I would be a fan of him coming to Minnesota, but it's going to come down the price point. And, I think the Vikings would benefit from adding a veteran to this cornerback room. Have a guy that can mentor Mekhi Blackman and a Caleb Evans, see if they can maybe take that next jump. But, he was still pretty productive for the Cowboys last season. 54.9 completion percentage allowed, only giving up 650 yards, only 4 touchdowns, and he had a ton of PBUs and also 2 interceptions. So I think corner is a big position in need for Minnesota. But in terms of the major 4, I would say, what is the biggest position of need for the Vikings? CB for cornerback, offensive guard type OG, and then wide receiver type WR and DT for defensive tackle down below in the comments section. Let's get the number 6 here, hitting to the offensive line again, and this will just be a better option than Dalton Risner. Connor Williams coming in here at number 6 for me, and he has just been consistent over the past couple of years, and he's been playing his best ball as of late. I mean, last year, posting a run blocking grade of 90.5, 71.7 in the pass blocking department. Like, Connor Williams, maybe I should personally have him higher on this list instead of at number 6, in my opinion. I just think he's going to command probably around $10 million, so I don't know if the Vikings front office would be willing to pay that, but you want to make your life on a rookie quarterback or Sam Darnold a whole lot easier, you go bring in Connor Williams. I think it would be a great pickup for Minnesota. But number 5 for me, Hunter Renfrow, the deadly slot receiver who has been kind of played his way out of Las Vegas. They got a pretty loaded wide receiver room now, and he just hasn't been getting a lot of attention over the past couple of seasons. But, man, you date back to the 2021 year. He was truly one of the better slot receivers in the NFL, going for over 1,000 yards. Obviously, the yards per catch aren't that high, but he is that guy on third down where he just has to beat the other team's, third-ranked opposing quarterback or cornerback. Like, he can create separation. He can get it done, and I think he would be a great safety net early on in the season if T.J. Hockenson is not back until Thanksgiving, which is being reported for him. Like, I think he would be a really good option as just like I said, a safety blanket for either Sam Darnold or J.J. McCarthy. But number 4 for me is Calais Campbell, the big-time D end and defensive tackle who played his ball last season with the Atlanta Falcons. Listen, I'm a big fan of his game, and, he is older. I think he's about 38, 39 years old at this point, but he is still very productive, and he's not going to, blow you away and have a double-digit sack here, but he could just be a guy you put in the lineup, and just he overall, I think, could, be very productive next to guys like Dallas Turner, Jonathan Grenard, and honestly having a guy like Harrison Phillips next to him, I think could be extremely effective, and the QB hits on screen right now. I mean, he's getting you double-digit over the last 4 seasons, and he's also relatively, fairly healthy. But let's go to the wide receiver room again. And if the Vikings are going to bring in a wide receiver, I want it to be this guy right here, Michael Thomas. And maybe it's just because MT has killed the Vikings in the past, but this would be my top choice at wide receiver. Could you imagine a unit where the Vikings, it's 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, and they need to pick up 8 yards, and you roll out there Aaron Jones, Michael Thomas, Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and T.J. Hockenson? Like, pick your poison if you are a defense. He is not the guy he was when he broke the reception record in the NFL. He is nowhere near that, but I think he could still be incredibly effective. He can create so much space in a phone booth. His feet are incredible. I would be all in on Michael Thomas. Is why I have him as my top choice at wideout. But hey, if you guys want to get hooked up with a J.J. McCarthy jersey today, make sure you guys click this link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. He is going to be rocking number 9 this season, and I would absolutely love to be rocking this in U.S. Bank Stadium this season. So if you guys would too, head to that link, chatsports.com/Vikings jersey. All right, number 2 for me is Steven Nelson, a cornerback for the Houston Texans. And, like I was saying, I'm not in love with any of the Vikings cornerbacks. Byron Murphy's a solid choice, but I think Steven Nelson would just add more depth to this unit. And he did play all 17 games last season, stayed healthy. Here is coverage stats from this past year: 12 PBUs, 4 interceptions. So he is a ball hawk, and he does excel in press man. So I think he would fit in very well with what Brian Flores likes to do. And hey, he only gave up 59.4% of passes thrown his way last year. But he's also been doing this for a while. Back even when he was with the Eagles and Steelers, I was a fan of his game, as well. He did have his biggest breakout year this past season with the Houston Texans. But, maybe Kwesi's looking at this and saying to himself, like, man, we could get him maybe on a 2-year deal, and maybe next year is a year the Vikings go fully all in, and just getting him a year early I think could be a smart move. So I got Steven Nelson as number 2, but number 1 for me, I think cornerback is the most important position of need right now on the Minnesota Vikings, so I'm going Xavier Howard, former CB1 with Brian Flores in Miami, and he is still incredibly effective, ladies and gentlemen. It was in and out of the lineup a little bit last season due to injuries, but still, great ball player, 12 PBUs in 13 games, and had himself an interception. This would be my top target as a guy I want the Vikings to bring in. But hey, I just gave you 10 names. You guys just got to give me one. Who is your top free agent target for the Vikings this offseason? I got to go Xavier Howard or even a guy like Michael Thomas. But those guys are probably my top 2. Even Steven Nelson I would be thrilled about as well. But first off, I want to say thank you guys so much for watching. And also make sure you guys are subscribed here to the channel. We're going to be posting daily videos throughout this offseason, so I would really appreciate it if you guys hit that subscribe button. And thank you guys so much for watching. We'll catch you guys next time. As always, Skol Vikes, baby.